I have a bit of a strange relationship with the Pacifier frigate. This is one of those ships that you can't deny, it just looks stunning. There's something really unique about that tri-wing design. It stands out, it is a fashion statement of a ship. The fact that it's got a 12 AU per second warp time as well is just fantastic. Like, that speed of being able to zip across systems at 12 astronomical units per second is just mind-bending. It's also remarkably good for scanning, it's got some nice combat bonuses if you really want to do it that way, and I love everything about this ship. So why don't I fly it much? Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome back to another video for EVE Online. In today's video I'm going to be talking to you about the Concorde Pacifier. This is a really cool frigate, and if you want to get one of these, you can either obviously just buy it off the market, or you can run Project Discovery in order to get the blueprints. It is a guaranteed drop after a few levels of playing. It's a really unique ship. I love how it looks, I love how it flies, I just don't undock it nearly as frequently as I should. And in today's video, I wanted to focus on what it does and why, perhaps just as a way to sort of trick myself into flying it that little bit more. If you do enjoy this video or find it useful, you can help this channel just by hitting a like on the video and dropping a comment down below. It does really help and I love hearing from you guys. If you want to go the extra mile, however, I do have a Patreon page, a PayPal tip jar and a Redbubble merchandise store that you can use if you want to help support this channel and keep me making content like this. Finally, if you are new to EVE Online, there are several ways that I can help. Most notably, I have a referral link down below. If you click that, you can earn 1 million free skill points just for clicking that link. This works on any account as long as you haven't used a referral link already. Doesn't matter how long you've been playing. You can also come and join us on the Cat Skull Discord, a load of like-minded people who love this game and want to help you learn how to play it, and we even have our own corporation. Finally, being on that Discord does enable you to join in with several of the giveaways. I do a giveaway every single month and I'm looking to do even more than that, so come join us and have a nice good old chat. Anyway, all of that said and done then, let's talk about the Concorde Pacifier, why I love this frigate, but why I still don't fly it much. The Pacifier is such a weird ship. It has more skill bonuses on it than I have time to go through for this video. So we're going to give a brief rundown of what this essentially all means, and we're going to focus mainly on the relevant ones. Now, looking down the list, you'll see that it does get bonuses from each of the 4 racial frigates: Gallente Frigate, Minmatar Frigate, Caldari Frigate, and Amar Frigate. You'll also notice that these are basically weapon upgrades. So for example, if you were skilling into Minmatar Frigate, you get a 5% bonus to small projectile turret rate of fire, and a 10% bonus to the fall-off for small projectile turrets. Caldari has bonuses to its light missiles and rockets, Gallente gives it bonuses to small hybrid turrets, and Amar Frigate gives it bonuses to small energy turrets. So if you wanted to fly this as a combat vessel, then you just can fit it based on whichever empire you have otherwise skilled into. That's not what we're here to talk about though. We're here to talk about the role bonuses and the covert ops bonuses. These are the skills that normally help you train into the Tech 2 covert ops explorers like the Cheetah, the Anathema, the Buzzard and the Helios, or into the stealth bombers as well. This gives you a 10% bonus to core and combat scanner probe strength, 50% at full training, that is better than the Tech 1 ships, it's better than the Astero, 10% reduction to survey probe flight time, oh well, and a 10% bonus to warp speed and acceleration. And we're going to point on this for a moment, because at Covert Ops 5, that's a 50% bonus to warp speed and acceleration, and if we go into the attributes and scroll down, you'll see that gives us a whopping 12 AU per second warp speed. This is a fast ship. If you want to travel long distances and go from A to B, this is a ship that will do it. That said, is it as good at hauling as some of the others? It's faster, but it has only 150 cubic meters of cargo space, so you do need to bear that in mind. It's also a ridiculously expensive ship, as we'll see in a moment. The role bonuses also help us with scanning and exploration, 100% reduction in cloaking device CPU requirement, that includes covert ops. You get a 10-point bonus to Relic and Data Analyzer virus strength, you get the ability to fit Covert Ops cloaking devices and Covert Sinusoidal field generators, the cloak reactivation delay is reduced to 5 seconds, which is really low and nice and fast, and we do also get this weird bonus here, which I won't really spend much time on. Basically, your security status gains are increased by shooting pirates, you get more security status gains. when you're shooting pirates, and your armor repairers and shield boosters are based on the security status of the system you're in, with the bonuses that you have, kind of thing. But for us as explorers, essentially you just need to know that this is as good and better than the Tech 2 exploration frigates for the most part. It is considerably better for exploration than the Astero, but it is a lot more expensive, as we'll see now that we take a look at the fit. So this is the fit that I'm running personally. Let's simulate this so we can play with it and talk about it. Now, essentially, the purpose of this fit is primarily for mapping tripwire for our wormhole connections. Essentially, it gives me the ability to zip around from wormhole to wormhole with that 12 AU per second warp speed. It's got good scan times and good scan strength, so I can scan down all of the signatures and anomalies and bookmark them for the rest of the corp to use. And it also gets used frequently for running blue loot from my station out to whichever NPC station has the buy orders for me to sell that blue loot, because again, 150 cubic meters of cargo hold, it's not much, but it's enough to carry blue loot, and that 12 AU per second allows me to warp across K-space and back really, really quickly. I do also have a relic analyzer and data analyzer fitted here as well, just in case I come across a particularly lucrative site that I fancy hacking and scanning. That said, it doesn't get used all that much, and it's probably the piece that you could use to make this much, much cheaper. Ultimately, you can see this is a 644.6 million ISK ship, and I'm slightly disappointed. When I started to work towards this video, I was referring to it as the Devil's Pacifier because it was actually costing exactly 666 million ISK, but there we go, times have changed at the point of me making this video. And the primary cost here is that Zeugma integrated analyzer. In fact, if I were to unfit that, you'll see we go from 644 down to 271 million ISK. So do bear that in mind. It's still expensive. 271 million ISK is still very expensive for exploration. It's going to take a while to make that back and start profiting off it. But again, this is one of those ships, you don't fly it because it's profitable, you fly it because it's fun, you fly it because it's cool, and when you eventually make that ISK back, if you're flying this correctly, this is such a hard ship to catch. Why is it hard to catch? Well, because in the high slots, we've got that core probe launcher, of course, we've got a Covert Ops cloaking device, and we've got an Interdiction Nullifier. Thanks to our low slots here of Inertial Stabilizer II and our rigs of low friction nozzle joints and small polycarbon engine housing, we have an align time that, when the Microwarpdrive is turned off, is sub 3 seconds. And we also have a warp core stabilizer too, so that if they do get a scram on us, then it's very, very easy for us just to hit that button and warp out. As such, we've got a fast align time, we've got fast warp speed, we've got cloaking capabilities, we've got the interdiction nullification, and we've got the ability to ignore a scram put on us as well. So we are a very slippery ship, which means that cost, suddenly, it's not so bad. It means that, yes, you're flying a very expensive ship and you need to know how to fly this. This is not a ship that you undock lightly. This is one that you undock once you have fully nailed down how to escape any form of gate camp. Once you have nailed down descanning, when you know you're not going to make a silly mistake that loses the ship. I would rather make a silly mistake and lose a 70 million ISK cheater than make a silly mistake and lose a nearly 700 million ISK pacifier. For the other slots though, this is kind of entirely up to you. Again, the Zeugma I use because it only takes up one mid-slot. This leaves space for me to use a scan acquisition array and a scan rangefinding array. That helps me scan down my wormholes, bookmark things for tripwire, etc. that little bit faster. You could swap one of these out and just go for a data and relic analyzer too if you wanted to really keep the costs down. You might decide that, you just don't want an analyzer on there at all. Like if you're just using this for scanning and mapping wormholes, then it really doesn't matter, right? The analyzer isn't important. For me, I don't often use the analyzer, but I do occasionally, and so I like to have it there. I consider this a bling fit, so it's one of those I'm happy with it being expensive because I know how to fly it and I'm not going to lose it anytime soon, touch wood. But it means I can run a particularly lucrative data or relic site, like if I spot, for example, a Sancha or Guristus relic site, then I can run that nice and quickly and see if I can get some good loot out of it. The Microwarpdrive is a twofold reason. Now, ultimately, you're not going to really need this for getting away from gate camps because you're going to use the Interdiction Nullifier for that for the most part, and you're not going to use it for moving around sites, relic and data sites either, because that's just dangerous. You'll have a perch set up, right? The reason I have the Microwarpdrive is because I will often jump into a new wormhole system that I want to scan down, I will double click off into the distance at an angle, activate the Microwarpdrive, drop my probes, and then cloak up. This now allows me to drift quickly away from the hole. That means if anyone is going to drop onto the hole, they're not going to decloak me, or it's incredibly unlikely they're going to decloak me. And as time passes, as I'm scanning the hole, I'm drifting further and further away. That makes it harder for me to be caught, because no one's going to decloak me when you're 300 kilometers off a gate and you're cloaked. No one can scan you down. You are pretty much safe. You can also keep an eye on that hole to see if anyone is jumping through it at that point. You can also know that if you've scanned down the system and it's just not worth it, you're on grid with the hole, but you're more than 150 Ks away, so you can instantly warp back to it, knowing that it's safe, and just jump straight through. That's why I use the Microwarpdrive. Bit of a long-winded explanation there, but hey, that's what you're here to watch this for, right? Finally, Damage Control 2 in the low slot. This is again a bit of a weird module. There's nothing else that can go there. Like, genuinely, if you fit this purely for align time, with the skills I have, if I fit purely for align time, I cannot get that align time sub 2 seconds. So there is no point. I stick with sub 3, and that leaves one mid slot free. It could be the damage control, that's fine, I can use that there, nicely increase resistances in case anyone does lock me and happens to get a shot off while I make my escape. I can't put a second warp core stabilizer on there because they're one per ship. I suppose you could use like a cargo rig, expander down there or something to increase the size of your cargo hold if that's your thing, but I don't know, I'd prefer to go for the survivability, and the 150 cubic meters is more than enough for what I need personally. And that's it. That's my pacifier. That's the ship that I love to fly, but I just don't often. Undocking this thing is so much fun. It makes scanning down wormholes and bookmarking and tripwire and all that really quick, really fun, really easy. Unfortunately, it does come at a very high cost, which always leaves me a little bit nervous with it. Therefore, I decide that, you know what, it might take a few minutes longer to do it in my cheetah, but I'd rather risk a 70 million-isk ship than a 700 million-isk ship. Anyway, folks, that's the pacifier. I love this ship. I wish I could bring myself to fly it more, but that cost, unfortunately, just feels prohibitive to me. Maybe you use the pacifier. Maybe you use it for PvE or PvP. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'd love to hear your fits in the comments down below, so drop a link and let me know. Otherwise, folks, thanks for watching this one right the way through to the end. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.